last edition of 4 Minutes to a Better Marriage, we talked about making the forgiveness decision. And just to recap for you for just a few moments, the forgiveness decision means that we forgive before we feel like it. Many times our pain continues for a long time after someone has hurt us, or we nurse it, we keep it going for a while. And because of that, we think that until our feelings change, we can't really forgive. But I've got good news for you today. As I did last week, you can forgive when you decide to. Now, I've got some more good news for you this week, too, because there are lots of reasons why we don't forgive. And I'm going to try to talk about a few of those today and give you a little bit of an insight into why those things don't have to stop you from forgiving. So, what does forgiveness not mean? What does it not mean? We know what it does mean. It means to no longer want to punish the person. You don't want anything bad to happen to them. You don't want to do anything bad to them. And if it goes far enough, you actually want God to bless them and help them in their own pain and bitterness. So we know that that's what forgiveness does mean, but what does it not mean? Here are a few things for you to consider, and I think when you look at these, it's going to help you to know that you really can forgive. First of all, forgiveness does not mean that you have to like the person. Because let's be honest here, some people just aren't likable. They're the kind of people that you would not choose to spend any more time with if you didn't have to, and that's okay. Because if they're acting in a way that makes it impossible for you to like them, there's no reason that you should. And then forgiveness does not mean that you have to trust the person. If you're in a marriage where somebody has betrayed your trust in some way, whether it's small or big, in an adulterous affair, or wasting the family finances, or breaking your confidences and sharing them with somebody else, all of those kinds of breaches of trust are very painful, and the results can be long lasting. So if you think that you have to trust the person in order to prove that you've forgiven them, then you're connecting two things that don't need to be connected. Because forgiving the person means what we said before. You don't want to hurt them. You don't want anything bad to happen to them. But it doesn't mean that you have to trust them. They have to re-earn your trust through their faithfulness and through their sincere attitude. And then forgiveness does not mean that you have to restore all the privileges that were lost. If your child stays out after the curfew time, say your curfew time is 10 o'clock and they stay out to 10:30, you forgive them for what they did, but you still say you've lost privileges until you've learned how important it is to not break curfew. So in the same way, perhaps we don't restore all privileges just because we have forgiven somebody. Once again, as in trust, they have to earn the right to be trusted with the freedoms you had given them before. So keep that in mind, because that will help you to know that you can forgive even though you don't feel like you can restore to them all the privileges that they once had in the relationship. And then it doesn't mean that you must forget. Look, we've heard this since we were probably that high. Forgive and forget, forgive and forget. But what does that mean? Well, here's what I think it means. When I've gone through a particularly painful issue in my life, perhaps with somebody who hurt me on my job, or told lies about me, misrepresented me, that hurts very deeply. And I can still remember that even though I have forgiven them. But here's the difference. I don't remember it in a painful way, or a way that makes me bitter, or a way that drags me back into my past and makes me feel terrible. I remember it as something that is over and done with, and I remember that God gave me the grace to forgive that person, even though I still remember what happened. So this should be good news for you. It doesn't mean you have to like the person. It doesn't mean you have to trust the person. It doesn't mean you have to restore all the privileges that were lost. And it doesn't mean that you have to forget it to prove that you're forgiven. It doesn't mean any of those things. And it doesn't mean, in addition, surprisingly, that you have to reconcile to the person, because they may not be a safe person to reconcile with, unless they are showing that they're trustworthy and that they realize what they have done wrong, and they're showing you that they really want to make things right and do what they need to do to make the relationship safe again. You don't have to reconcile, but you can still forgive. Now, even though forgiveness does not mean that you have to like them, trust them, restore the privileges, forget the thing so it's no longer in your mind, or reconcile, here's what it does mean. Forgiveness opens the door. And this is really great, because once we have forgiven, we are leaving the possibility open for liking the person, trusting the person, restoring what was lost, leaving the thing behind, and reconciling should that become possible. So I hope today that you'll just simply make the decision to forgive and that you won't let any false reasons keep you from doing so. This is Mike Constantine, and this is 4 Minutes to a Better Marriage. You can read more on forgiveness by going to my website, intermen.org. Follow the link that you see on the screen or use the QR code. Thanks for watching 4 Minutes to a Better Marriage, and we'll see you next time.